Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Dr. Sharma Show. I'm your host, Dr. Sharma. I am a functional nephrologist and metabolic health expert, and I welcome you to join me in this show. Thank you so much for joining. If you're looking for health advice, then you are at the right place. Today, we have a very special discussion with Dr. Kimberly Hewitt. She is a physician, surgeon in the field of otolaryngology. She's ENT physician and owns Zeal Vitality Clinic to optimize her health of the patients, prevent diseases, and promote long-term vitality over an extended lifespan. She provides personalized wellness and longevity programs that empower individuals to achieve the optimal health. It is a hot topic today, and many people want to learn more about longevity. So welcome, Dr. Hewitt. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited about our today's discussion on longevity. It's a hot topic, and many people want to learn more about what you are doing, what is your background, and how you are making an impact in this field. So tell us more about yourself.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. So it may seem a little strange being a otolaryngologist or ear, nose, and throat physician by training, but this is all an evolution. My original background, I've always been kind of a science geek, but my original background was in exercise, physiology, and nutrition in undergrad, but then I did go on to medical school. But some of my interest in this is related to some of my own health struggles. I've always been an active person and a lot of different sports and things like that. But at 40, I was, had been having a lot of hip pain, but was diagnosed with advanced degenerative arthritis of my hip, such that even at age 40, the orthopedic surgeon said, you need a hip replacement. And that shook me. I was like, what? But I'm doing everything right. But that led me to figure out why, what is going on. And I found out I have hemochromatosis, iron storage, or overstoring of iron. And that may have played a role because it can affect joint health and that. But that also just made me think, if I hadn't thought this out myself, I never would have known. And that's a very harmful condition with iron, storage in all the organs. And so, that just also fueled my quest to just understand root causes of things and how to just continually optimize health. And so it became a hobby of sorts. And then you're just noticing the change in the medical system and the health of people is changing. More of these chronic inflammatory diseases, and even as a specialist, I would still see that. I would see a lot of people with sleep apnea. Well, it's related to weight issues, and rates of obesity have, it's almost at 50%. And gastrointestinal disorders with reflux and immune challenges, which are all related. And so I finally felt I could serve people better being outside of the traditional medical system. And so that is why I'm here today doing this.
Wonderful. I think I'm also embarking on the same journey. Being a nephrologist, I've seen those complex patients and deteriorating over the period of time. So really, conventional medicine doesn't have much of the answers, and it's more like a patchwork, right? So if you have a leak in the pipe, you're putting on bandage, and it's really not, addressing the root cause of the problem and fixing the pipe from inside. So that's why, functional medicine play a role where we are looking at the root cause of the problem and helping from that perspective and getting great results. And how long have you been practicing outside the conventional medicine?
I took a hybrid approach initially, so about a year doing that, and then it's been almost a year now since I left traditional medicine completely.
I see.
So
Okay.
thank
Congratulations.
you.
We are one of those unicorns in the field, but lately, more and more physicians are coming into this field of, finding the root cause, the functional longevity medicine. And because that's what people want, they want to even prevent the diseases, and not only that, optimize their health. So I like the optimization word better than prevention, because
Mm-hmm.
prevention means you're already thinking about disease, right? So
Exactly.
optimization of health is more positive. You're looking at your health, you're looking at your healthy lifespan. So that's what the focus is for today's talk as well. So thank you for sharing your background and your personal journey. It is a very powerful journey when it comes to personal journey, and I can understand and relate to it as well, having my own family members gone through dialysis, and
Mm-hmm.
I know how these chronic diseases
Mm-hmm.
impact the lifestyle, not only for the patients but also for the family. So thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that.
Yes.
Now, in the area of longevity, like when somebody comes to your clinic, what are the things you would be looking at in terms of biomarker or labs? How are you testing them for their, the health span or their biological age?
Yeah. So um, it can be fairly simple, actually. Technology's come a long way, diagnostics have come a long way, and so there are a lot of these aging clocks based on different measurements. But some simple blood work can give you a really good picture, and most of them, I kind of have a list here of some of the basic things are what you would get even in the traditional system. I had DHEA on here. That's one that isn't usually looked at. But so glucose, blood sugar is hugely important. And what I feel is even an important more marker than that is insulin, your fasting insulin levels. So you can see a rise in that before you see any glucose dysregulation. But looking at albumin, creatine, potassium, the liver enzymes, even some of the white blood cells and the lymphocytes, some of the lipid panel and inflammatory marker like the CRP. So from there, but the other difference is in the interpretation of those lab values, the reference range. So I feel that the standard reference range is just too broad, and there's no absolute cutoff between, if you're 1 point away, you don't have the disease, and you do. Well, if you're 1 point away, you're on that trajectory. So I look at more of an optimal range and narrow that down a little bit. So that's what I like to start out with people. Usually when people first come, and I'm just a telemedicine practice, which is nice, so I can see more people and make it more convenient. But I also want to make this field more accessible to many people. A lot of people hear about it and all of the bells and whistles, and it seems like it's a very expensive thing, and I couldn't afford that. But really, the baseline are some of these lab blood markers. So we do a foundational assessment first with the panel of this and several in-depth questionnaires and a long interview, and then from there I can see where some imbalances are or things, and then we can dive deeper, more specific, in a more personalized fashion. Another test that two of my top two favorite tests. One is getting genomics information. So genomics is like our roadmap that tells us our unique benefits and maybe some struggles that we have in different areas. And so when we know that, we can plan for that. And then metabolomics testing, or also called organic acids sometimes, that gives more of a picture of what's going on right now in someone, and when we can see at a cellular level what, you know, what's going well and what is not going so well, and tweak that. I've also used the True Diagnostics age test. For me, I like more the rate of aging test. I think sometimes when you get that number, you're this age biologically, that can be stressful to people and sometimes be counterproductive. But the pace of aging is nice. It just tells you if you're aging slower or faster than kind of the quote norm.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that insight. Yeah, that's the usually, you know, when we start working up with the patient, the basic test is, you know, the creatinine, as you mentioned, the albumin, all those lab tests, along with some electrolytes. And then the insulin resistance is very, very important, because that's how the whole cascade of chronic inflammation and the cardiovascular and other vital organs involvement start with the insulin resistance and the fasting insulin levels, which we don't actually usually, you know, getting tested in the conventional medicine, but we are doing it on this side of medicine, where we are looking at the initial small biomarkers which are telling us something is wrong. So let's work on that so that it doesn't progress to, you know, the whole snowball of, you know, the cascade of inflammation and become pre-diabetic and diabetic later on. So early detection is the key here. Now, everybody is talking about mitochondrial health. You know, it's a hot topic too, because everything, your whole metabolism and your energy at the cellular level depends on your mitochondrial health. So what are the, you know, how does the mitochondrial function influence aging, and what are the best interventions to support your mitochondrial health?
So mitochondria, known as the little powerhouse of the cell, which they are. They truly produce the energy at a cellular level that we need to have all the bodily functions. They are important in regulating inflammation and that programmed cell death when cells age and die. So we, over time, we can develop mitochondrial dysfunction, and there's a lot of reasons why that can happen, or why that happens, but that is one of the hallmarks of aging, where now there's been 12 hallmarks of aging identified, and mitochondrial dysfunction is one of them. So we want to protect them as much as possible from damage, and we want to do things that can generate more of them, and we want to clear out ones that have become dysfunctional. So lifestyle still is at the top of the list. Nutrition. Exercise is an actual good way to increase the number of mitochondria, and that high intensity interval is a good way to do that, as well as strength training, which is really important to stave off some of the effects of aging. I talked about nutrition, but outside of nutrition, or sometimes, you know, it's well known we can't get in all of what we need from nutrition nowadays. So some supplements can be very helpful. One that many people have heard of, the coenzyme Q10, supplementing with that can be helpful. I also like alpha lipoic acid a lot. That is a great thing that people can use, especially if there is insulin sensitivity issues. It can help with that as well, but it is really important in that cell cycle. Also, those biohacking things you hear about, where cold exposure can be helpful for that. It can help with the what we call the mitophagy, so the mitochondria that are already damaged or dysfunctional, to help clear them out is a good way too. And just avoiding, a part of longevity strategies is avoiding harmful substances that can be, things, recreational things, but also just toxins in the environment. So trying to drink filtered clean water and avoid plastics and things and heavy metals is part of it as well.
Wonderful. Whatever you said, I think it's very important, but often taken for granted, and people are not paying attention to those small details in their lifestyle, and that is actually causing accumulation of all these toxins at the cellular level and the death of these mitochondria, which actually increases your the intensity of aging and shortens your health span.
Yeah.
So that is very important. I was reading or listening to I'm a listener actually more than a reader. So I listened to the different audiobooks, and Akigai is the Japanese, art of like finding the purpose in the life. Was the book I recently listened to. Have you heard of that book?
I haven't heard of the book, but I've heard the term before.
Yeah, so that book is talking about the blue zones we have in the world, and there are 5 areas in the world who are identified as blue zone, which means that the people there are living, they are centenarians, they are living more than 100 years in a healthy way. So there's a lifespan and health span, right?
Yes.
So their health span matches with their lifespan, and the book was talking about that finding the purpose in life and loving what you do is, and having a strong social connection is, they are the small tools which are important, and they identify these in those areas of blue zone. It's a little bit off topic, but I wanted to bring it up because you mentioned about lifestyle and how focusing on your nutrition, phytonutrients, and they also talk about these phytonutrients and whole food and grains, Mediterranean diets. They are all common in those blue zones area. So that was very fascinating. And I think anywhere we live, we can incorporate those small changes to benefit from it. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, doing some genomic testing. What role does the genomics or epigenetics play in longevity? And how can, they influence the gene expression, like the lifestyle and the nutrition and the people stress, how they influence your epigenetics and genes? So there are 2 questions I'm asking in one.
So epigenetics is very fascinating, and it's so promising and hopeful because a lot of people have heard or feel that whatever my genetics are, that's kind of my destiny, and epigenetics proves that it's not. It basically means things added on top of the genetic code or the DNA, and so the things that add on can act as signals to turn on a gene or turn off a gene. And so that is, important. We want to turn on those health and longevity inducing genes and turn off cancer promoting genes and things like that. And so one of the most common talked about ways that happens is through methylation, where strands of DNA get methylated in certain areas. And methyl groups are just a few little carbon groups put together. And we can do that. Food is a great way. So food, I like to tell people when I talk about it, it's more than just calories and energy. It really is information to our body. Food is telling our body what to do. And so those methyl groups are formed by mostly B vitamins and some other vitamins and minerals. And so certain foods that are higher in those can actually do that. Are you familiar with the Younger You plan. It was written into a book, Dr. Kara Fitzgerald.
No, I don't know that. Please
Yeah,
share with us.
so in her study, they designed an epigenetic friendly diet,
Mhm.
focusing a lot on these methyl donors in certain food groups. And in just in an 8-week period of time, they saw reduction in biologic age in the people following that plan in just 8 weeks.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
so like I said, the folate, B vitamins, those are really important, and can very much be lacking in people's diets. Then the brightly colored foods. So you talk about the phytonutrients, or the polyphenols. Those are very important. They act as antioxidants, but they work on our microbiome. They feed our
Mhm.
microbiome, which is a huge component of health, supporting the microbiome. So
Right.
food can really affect that, and so we can um, favor are the expression of the genes in the health and longevity way with that approach. That also takes into account, the other lifestyle factors. Sleep is something that is a huge component of health optimization and longevity, and that one gets overlooked, or and that's one of the differences. Those blue zones you talked about, well, there was one in the US, a special little
Yes,
community that's kind of isolated and different,
California.
but most of this Western culture we live in is go, 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 and sleep is, if you're weak. And
Yeah.
so that's something that really needs to be shifted in people's minds. Sleep is critical. That is where you repair, restore, regenerate. And we really need to sync it with the circadian rhythms and the day and night. So we've, gotten off also with all the lighting and everything too, which is keeping our internal systems awake when they should be winding down and sleeping. So that's a big one too. Exercise also plays a very important role in epigenetic changes. So, but yeah, the bottom line is that it's a hopeful thing, because what we're born with isn't the end of the story. We can affect
Mhm.
it proactively, and so that's good news.
Right. So epigenetics is basically your gene expression based on your environment, your lifestyle, and your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And that definitely can change if you change your environment, decrease your stress, and change your lifestyle. As you mentioned, the sleep, stress, and including phytonutrients, your diet, they all impact your genes. So that's a very powerful message you have given us. And I think everybody should focus on those changes first to help them, elevate their health and go on the path of longevity. What
Absolutely.
are your thoughts on the current research around
Mm-hmm.
senolytics and cellular senescence? Nowadays, like many people are coming with these anti-aging therapies.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching that show, Don't Die movement is going on in
Oh,
California right
yes.
now with uh,
Brian
what was the
Johnson.
guy's name?
Brian
Yeah,
Johnson.
Brian Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. He's spending like couple $1 million
Every
every
year.
year
Yeah.
to get that longevity
Mm-hmm.
protocol. And he had a gene therapy done, which is not FDA approved, so he had to go outside US to get
Mm-hmm.
it done. So, what are your take on the senolytics and cellular senescence?
I do think it is important, and it is a part of a longevity protocol. So senescent cells are cells that are no longer dividing or active, but they still secrete signals and messengers, and those are inflammatory. And so they promote inflammation. And so in a structured protocol, one that kind of follow is we target certain things in an order, and inflammation is first. And so using, it's still an emerging science on senolytics and which actually work and how well, but food, again, it can be a source of that. There's a chemical from, I guess it falls into the polyphenols. Quercetin and fisetin are the top two senolytics that you hear about. And quercetin is found in apples and red onions in the skin, fisetin in strawberries. And so again, our diet, including colorful foods, whole foods from nature, there's a reason for that. I do like the, I don't know about naming brands here, but one particular brand has a senolytic formula that you take the supplements for 2 days every month. So it's sort of like phasing it in, where you get kind of a boost of all of those senolytics, but in short term. So it's not like taking handfuls of pills a day. It's just 2 days out of a month that you do that.
Can
Fasting.
you share what brand is that?
It's a Qualia. Heard of
Qualia?
Qualia? Mm-hmm.
Qualia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so
Okay, I will
they'll
search up.
just do a
I did not know
subscription.
that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the 2 days worth comes once a month, and so you don't have to even think about it. But this is also where fasting can be helpful. Fasting can be helpful for a lot of things, but when you are not giving the body energy and food, it reverts into the repair, restore, sort of survivor mode, and that's one of the processes that can occur in those times. So that's where intermittent fasting or time restricted eating, can be very helpful, because it's something you can just incorporate into daily life without having to go too extreme of
Yeah.
the 2 to 3 days worth. But that's important, because those, like I said, they secrete inflammatory signals, and they're linked to arthritis. So in my case, that is one thing that I definitely include, because that is a struggle of mine. But also other inflammatories, dementias, diabetes, things like that. So definitely plays a role.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think, average American diet is really not
Not
helping
colorful.
anybody. Not colorful. It's not optimized to your nutrients, which your body needs. So many people are walking with vitamin B deficiencies.
Absolutely.
And they have high homocysteine levels, which are related to, cellular oxidative stress and cardiovascular diseases. So, causing you to live less. So those are important things, because all these hormones and all these inflammatory markers, they get processed with the pathways which require all these nutrients. And if we are not eating the phytonutrients or healthy diet, that can cause those deficiencies and lead to accumulation of all these toxins and high inflammatory markers, which causes oxidative stress at the cellular level. And it's related to your cognition, to your vital organ function. So I think it's very important. So what is your favorite supplements you're using in your protocols? And like any specific brand you like? I looked at your website. There are few which are suggested. Prolon was one of them for the
Prolon is
longevity
a
protocol.
good way to incorporate fasting. because it is true that you can get some really good benefits from the short fast, like a overnight, a 12-hour fast. But to really see the improvements, this longer fast, the 2 days, 3 days fasts, but that's really difficult for people to do, and it can be harmful if not done carefully. So they've had years of science behind developing food that you can still eat, but that stays under the kind of nutrient sensing pathways that so your body thinks that you're still fasting, but you're still getting nutrients and some calories, but they're heavy on all the nutrients. So it's a comfortable way to do that, and they have different ways you can do it, but kind of the standard is a 5-day fast, and it all comes in a kit, so it's very easy to do. You don't have to get anything else. There's no meal preparation, so it can be useful in the busy lifestyle person. And doing 2 or 3 rounds of that, where you just do 5 days out of a month again, so just a short term, can really be a game changer for overall metabolic health, which translates into longevity.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
good. As far as supplements, so I really am a big proponent of using data to determine the needs. So that's why I do like all the testing, and that's why metabolomics comes in early, because that can actually tell you where the deficiencies are. And so you can get a really specific plan or protocol for each individual. And then you can recheck it down the road and make adjustments. So I don't have any specific brands. I use a whole bunch of different ones. I just make protocols based on an individual's diagnostics that we do. And then we change it up. But there's definitely some foundational things that most people need to be on, because the power of these nutrients. Vitamin D is a high one that tops the list, that has so many health benefits, and it's hard to get adequate amount from food or sunlight. And that's also where genomics comes into play, because you can have little variance in any of the vitamin and mineral pathways and how we utilize them or absorb them or whatnot. And so that can also tell if somebody's going to need more of something than another based on their genomics. And then the B vitamins are crucial. You mentioned that most people are deficient, and that's the number one thing I see on the metabolomics. And it's those who are already kind of into the supplement world. It's not the B12 and the folate. It's the B1, the B2, B3. It's those that I see are deficient, and they're very critical in the whole mitochondrial energy production cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, so many people ask me, "Oh, I'm taking vitamin B on daily basis. Will it make me like a vitamin B intoxication or like overdose?" I'm like, no, it's a water soluble
Yes.
vitamin. It will be flushed out from your kidneys. So no worries. So vitamin C, vitamin B, they can take on regular basis, and there's no overdose on that. But A and D, which are fat soluble, they can accumulate in your body over the period of time. So we have to be mindful about it. So that's why we do testing for vitamin D levels sometimes, just to make sure that it's not going over the required limit. So, but thank you so much for sharing all your insight, and we had a lot of fun. Please share with the viewers like where they can find you, what is your website, or what are the ways they can contact you.
Sure, yeah. So the practice I started, a telemedicine practice, is called Austin Vitality Clinic. I'm here in Austin, Texas. And so all the handles are Austin Vitality Clinic. The website's just, www.austinvitalityclinic. Same with Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn as well. I also, because of the nutrient issue, and you just discussed and you hit on the water soluble and whatnot, I did write a really short little guide called Nutrients for Longevity, and it is on Amazon, but it just outlines the key vitamins and minerals, what they are, what they do, what the food sources are. And then also there's a section where it goes through all the hallmarks of aging, the 12 hallmarks, and lists some of the specific nutrients that can target each of those pathways. And it's a really short guide. I wanted it to be very simple, brief, easy to understand and read. And that's just Nutrients for Longevity.
What's the title of your guide?
Nutrients for Longevity.
Wonderful. I'm going to look up and order one.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
It's so much fun. And thank you so much for all your insight. I hope our viewers will have a lot of questions for you, and they will be in touch with you. Any last minute comment?
One other little pearl I'll throw out there, going a little bit back to the mitochondrial health, another little great chemical that can be useful for that is methylene blue. It's a long story of how it got, but it's very helpful in the electron transport part of mitochondria, and it can be used, it can help with, sort of immediately, there are formulations used to help with cognitive tasks, when you need focus, when you need to concentrate. And I'll throw out a name brand there, Troscriptions, Troscriptions. They have a lot of products, but they're sort of workhorse is a couple of variations of a methylene blue. They're little dissolvable troches, and those can really help too.
Wonderful. So go get your e-guide, guys, and get the methylene blue for your longevity help, and contact Dr. Hewitt. And thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Hewitt. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.